Welcome back to Core Anesthesia. Whether you are a student prepping for tests and boards or a CRNA here to earn CEUs, we are glad you've joined us. For more about us, make sure to check us out on Instagram at Core Anesthesia and online at coreanesthesia.com.
Welcome back to another episode of Core Anesthesia Market Update, proudly sponsored by locumtenants.com. In this episode, we'll be reflecting on healthcare industry in 2024 and what lies ahead in 2025. We'll discuss key trends that shape healthcare workforce management and staffing in 2025. I'm Jordan Briston, account executive here at locumtenants.com, and my co-host today is Kathleen Burton, a colleague, a recruiter, and also an account executive. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Jordan. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. All right, let's go ahead and talk about 2024. It was a wild year for healthcare. We saw major shifts thanks to technology advancements, changing patient expectations, and ongoing workforce challenges. These changes had a significant impact not only on staffing, but also compensation and the way care is delivered. Today, we'll be discussing 7 key insights from 2024 that are shaping industry heading into 2025. We can go ahead and start with compensation, a topic that everyone knows. Pay rates still remain high. The demand is not slowing down. We're seeing facilities offer competitive compensation to attract and retain top talent, a trend that is likely going to persist into the coming years. From the CRNA's perspective, we're seeing the ball in their court when it comes to negotiation power for this. For an example, I worked with a pediatric CRNA last year who moved to California. He had so many offers coming from facilities since they're all short-staffed, and he was able to negotiate a $20,000 signing bonus simply by leveraging his multiple offers. So with that in mind, Kathleen, given these consistently high pay rates, what advice would you give a CRNA looking to maximize their earning potential in today's market?
Yeah, that's definitely a good question. And pay rates are remaining high, and it's always top of mind for CRNAs when they're considering locums or even a perm job. First and foremost, I definitely think flexibility is key. CRNAs who are open to traveling, taking on short-term or long-term assignments, or working in high-demand locations, whether that's a rural area or a state with an urgent need, those CRNAs tend to secure the best rates. Facilities are usually willing to pay more for providers who can step in quickly and fill some of those critical gaps. I think another factor to keep in mind is specialization. If you have experience in high acuity cases like cardiovascular, pediatrics, OB, or even as a CRNA specializing in blocks or regionals, I would make sure that that's highlighted in your profile. There's some states like Oregon where having the ability to do your own blocks and regionals would set you apart from other candidates that are being considered. So I'd always leverage your specialization. As a recruiter myself, I also always tell CRNAs having a good relationship with your recruiter makes a huge difference as well. When you are working with someone who understands what you're looking for, they can bring you some of the best high-paying opportunities before they even hit the market. I think to close it out with compensation, the key is really ultimately knowing your worth, being strategic in how you decide to position yourself for the best possible assignments. At the end of the day, market's in a great place for CRNAs right now. I would encourage everyone to stay proactive, be adaptable, and always stay well connected. I think we'll continue to see strong earning potential for CRNAs for sure.
I agree. And I definitely don't think that is slowing down. And speaking of keeping the ball in CRNA's courts, we're seeing a big shift when it comes to where care is actually being delivered. More surgical procedures are moving to more of a ASC setting, and that's changing the demand for anesthesia services. So for CRNAs, ASCs can offer a different kind of work environment, often with more predictable schedules compared to your traditional hospitals. But on the flip side, for facilities, this shift means rethinking staffing models to make sure there's adequate coverage. For an example, in Minnesota, we're having a lot of our CRNAs interested in ASCs just because they're getting that more predictable schedule, and it's really good for more of a work-life balance as well. So from your perspective, I'm curious, Kathleen, with the growing migration to ASCs, what are some of those unique challenges and opportunities this presents both for CRNAs, but also for the facilities trying to staff them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And similar to what you're seeing in Minnesota, we're seeing across the board as well. More procedures shifting to the ASC model. I agree with you. For CRNAs, it's a great setup. They have more predictable hours, no overnights, and no call or weekends usually. From a staffing perspective, it does require a little bit of a different approach. One challenge that I see is that ASCs don't always offer the same benefits or pay structures as hospitals. So it can make recruiting tougher, especially when we're already knee deep in a very competitive market. But on the flip side, CRNAs who prioritize work-life balance or prefer fast-paced, high-efficiency environments, they often do find the ASC model really appealing. I think there's a balance, and the key is making sure facilities compensation and scheduling structure aligns with what the providers are looking for, because at the end of the day, our biggest focus is making sure patients get quality care without having gaps in coverage.
That's amazing. I think definitely to highlight the last point that you made, it's all about making sure that the patients get the quality care.
Yes, definitely.
I just think that it always goes back to us needing to emphasize those points. Taking a little bit of a turn, going into point 3 and 4, just the rise of convenient care clinics, but also remote care becoming the new norm for patients. When it comes to convenient care clinics that are on the rise, making healthcare just more accessible while also driving up demand for providers, which includes CRNAs. This trend is just creating new job opportunities, often in more flexible locations and with wider range of practice settings. At the same time, though, this is really putting pressure on hospitals to do more than just offer competitive salaries to their providers. They also need to find new and exciting ways to attract and retain those CRNAs. While it doesn't hit CRNAs directly when it comes to remote care as much as it does in other specialties, the rise of telehealth is a clear sign that healthcare is shifting towards convenient and virtual access. As more procedures go remote, we could see ripple effects also affecting anesthesia demand. So, Kathleen, while telehealth might not directly involve CRNAs, how can we prepare for that indirect impact of these growing trends in remote care?
Great question. Again, definitely we're seeing the rise of telehealth, and agree it might not be hitting directly for the anesthesia field, but there are a few things that CRNAs can be doing to prepare for some of the impact as it continues to grow. I think number one, they can prepare by just staying informed about trends, adapting their skills for virtual patient interactions, advocating for their roles within remote care models. I think by enhancing collaboration with telehealth providers, still focusing on patient safety, CRNAs can position themselves as valuable contributors in the evolving healthcare landscape. So I definitely think, even though right now it might not be directly involving them, I think still be adaptable and still be informed.
Great points. This leads us into our 5th topic, which is just aging workforce. So as we all know, the aging workforce is still a growing challenge. More providers are retiring just as the demand for anesthesia services is rising. This shortage really puts CRNAs in a powerful position for career growth. It also forces facilities to think how they recruit and retain that top talent. So in such a competitive market, what creative strategies can facilities use to attract and keep CRNAs?
So this is a great question. From the locum standpoint, we have a few clients that sometimes will offer a hourly bonus or an end of week bonus to attract CRNA talent as well. So that's something to keep in mind, kind of goes back to compensation. I also think just overall increasing compensation packages, a flexible work arrangements. We see a lot of providers who want a flexible schedule, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 3 weeks on, 1 week off, so they can still have work-life balance. I think from a W-2 and more permanent standpoint, with the talent acquisition department, investing in career development opportunities, and also utilizing targeted recruitment marketing. I think overall, those would work to create a good workplace culture, and that would encourage CRNAs to stay and grow. I also just wanted to touch, as a recruiter myself, I also try to focus on building strong relationships with CRNAs. so we can offer more personalized job matching based off their preferences. We're able to highlight unique aspects of facilities such as location, the culture, and the growth. And I think that also helps attract and retain CRNAs as well, especially if we already have other locums or providers that are working at these facilities, helping arrange phone calls for the CRNAs to connect and discuss on more a clinical perspective helps retain and attract talent as well. So multiple approaches could be used.
That's great. And I think of a lot of what you highlighted, Kathleen, was what our next point is, which is flexibility in workforce. So the increasing preference for that flexible work arrangement, just like locum tenens work, is evident in healthcare sector, and we're seeing more and more people attracted to this flexibility. Contract-based work in locum tenens positions are becoming more prevalent. CRNAs can benefit from greater flexibility and control over their schedules, just like you mentioned. And facilities can leverage these flexible staffing models to fill gaps and just manage their overall costs. So, Kathleen, what are some key advantages and disadvantages of locum tenens work for CRNAs?
Yeah, definitely. As a recruiter, we see a lot of advantages and some disadvantages as well. So I do think that's an important topic to hit. So I'm glad you brought this up. Everyone's favorite, we can start with the advantages. Working locums obviously provides flexibility to choose your own assignment. You choose your locations. You're still enjoying competitive compensation. Usually your agency is covering your malpractice insurance, travel expenses, and things like that as well. So added perks for locums. I also think CRNAs benefit from diverse experiences across various facilities, which would enhance their skills and reduce burnout. So it's great for new grads as well, because before signing a permanent offer, you might want to try a few other facilities, change a few skill sets around before you sign on your permanent job, and locums definitely has the flexibility for you to do that. I think this can relieve stress off the providers as well, because usually the agencies have dedicated operation teams that will assist with licensure, credentialing, and even billing, and payer enrollment is something new as well. So good things to keep in mind. Of course, there are a few disadvantages. One of the most important, I think, is the stress that can be brought on of sudden assignment changes. So at the end of the day, if you are someone who enjoys traveling, you're looking for new ways to deliver patient care, I think that locums is something to definitely consider. If you are someone that really thrives on consistency, then it would be good to do some research to look at maybe what a W-2 might have to offer you. Overall, I think there's pros and cons to both, and it's great to do your research to fully understand that and see what the best fit is for you.
Those are some great points. And I think one to add on to that too, what I hear a lot is for CRNAs that are coming out of school, it's also just a good learning opportunity to be in different care settings, learn from different teams, to add to those advantages. But that definitely is one that I would highlight too.
Definitely.
All right. And this leads us to our last trend that we saw for 2024, which is healthcare policies. This, as everyone knows, is constantly changing and evolving. These changes can have a big impact on funding and just access to care, as well as labor rules. Staying ahead and informed about these legislative developments isn't just important, it's really essential, both from the facility perspective, but also as a CRNA. CRNAs and facilities need to stay informed about legislative developments and adapt to these strategies accordingly. And with these new policies always on the horizon, Kathleen, I'm curious from your perspective, what's the best way for CRNAs and facilities just to stay informed and advocate for their interests?
Yeah, we are constantly talking about new legislation and trying to collaborate on how that's going to impact our market specifically. But ultimately, Jordan, legislation impacts everything from pay to staffing rules for 1099 for permanent providers. So I can't recommend enough for providers to stay informed. I definitely think they should stay connected with groups such as the AANA, or if you're in locums, keep in touch with your recruiter who might have insight on state-specific changes, and they can be proactive in advocating for themselves. So ultimately, whether it's through professional organizations or just staying informed, reaching out to your legislators, having a voice in those conversations can make a big difference.
Such a good point. That's great. And that will close us out for the trends that we saw in 2024. And let's go ahead and look ahead into 2025. So Kathleen, what are some key areas of focus that we should really be highlighting?
Yes, I'm so glad. I'm so excited to be in 2025 for a new year. A couple of things that we're focusing on is staffing and optimization. The demand for locum tenens providers is definitely expected to grow significantly in 2025 alone. Locumtenens.com can help healthcare organizations address this challenge head on by providing reliable source of talented care providers and helping them optimize their overall workforce strategies. I just looked at a recent report before we started this podcast from locumtenens.com and MGMA, Future Forward Strategies for Rural and Urban Care Delivery Challenges. And it said federal labor data suggests that employment of CRNAs is projected to grow by 38% from 2022 to 2032, with about 29,000 openings each year on average. That would lead me into point 2, which is hitting on data-driven workforce insights. Healthcare organizations all around will need to be able to make data-driven decisions to compete effectively in this market. I think technology can provide healthcare leaders with real-time workforce data to support some of that strategic decision-making that they'll be doing on a day-to-day basis. So I definitely think as we head into 2025, those are the top trends that are going to be shaping how we plan to attack 2025 head on.
All great insight. Thank you for that, Kathleen. I think one thing that I hear for sure is adaptability is key, both for healthcare organizations, but also CRNAs that need to stay forward thinking just to keep up with the always evolving industry. And really, that's where locumtenens.com can come in. We're here to help healthcare facilities and clinicians navigate these changes while also ensuring quality of care across all settings. So as we wrap this up, I'd say for CRNAs, opportunities are growing. If you have specialized skills or are looking for more flexibility, now is the time to explore new career paths. Locum tenens work offers a great way to increase your earning potential, gain experience in different practice settings, and really just take control of your schedule. For facilities, strategic workforce planning is more important than ever. With anesthesia provider shortage continuing, leveraging those flexible staffing models and data-driven decision-making will be key to maintain high-quality care. If you're a CRNA considering locum tenens work, check out locumtenens.com to explore a wide range of opportunities. Whether you want to earn more, try new practice settings, or just gain more schedule control, locums can open many doors. Plus, we take care of the logistics, the licensing, credentialing, travel, even malpractice insurance, so you can focus on what you do best. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Core Anesthesia Market Update, sponsored by locumtenens.com. If you found this discussion helpful, follow locumtenens.com on social media for more insight. That's it for this episode. Thank you all for listening.